Hello and welcome to the Runners World podcast with me, Rick Pearson.
And me, Ben Hobson.
And today we're talking, to each other.
Just to each other like we normally do.
Yeah, about how to run your fastest mile.
This is off the back of quite a lot of mile chat, isn't it? We've obviously talked on here about the mile because you've gone and run now a sub-5 mile. So congratulations
I did it at 4:58,
once again.
Thank you very much.
And we've had Faith Kipyegon has attempted
the sub-4.
The sub-4, and there was a lot of fanfare around that. And I just feel like people are just getting into it a little bit more.
People are talking about the mile.
People are talking about the mile. It comes and goes. It's back again.
Yeah.
And now we're going to talk about it some more.
I think so. I think we could discuss why the mile.
I think it's such a sort of foundation for most of the run. Obviously, we talk about pace, we talk about miles and minute miles and all this sort of stuff, and everything's broken down into miles unless you're running kilometers, then fine. But the mile is just always there as this sort of it's the bedrock of it all.
Yeah.
And I think to get a good mile time, like your fastest mile time, it's not just another one of the sort of distances with a tick next to it, like a 5K or a 10K. This is my fastest time for this. It's a proper learning point for runners. And I think that if you're new to running or even if you're not, learning how to manage an effort for a certain time over the mile is really, really important as you build forward to different distances or different races.
It can be a launch pad, can't it?
Completely. I think it's just because it's such a sort of finite distance that is the bedrock of everything else, that you just have this thing of just knowing, if I want to run a sub-5 like you did, or a sub-6 or a sub-7, whatever it is, you can gauge so much from that in terms of your capabilities, your threshold, your actual potential to run faster or further. I think that's why the mile is such a good distance.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we're obsessed, aren't we, by going longer. And I think a lot of people will kind of start off doing marathons, where actually maybe you could think, right, how quick can I go over a short distance? And then you can use that platform to be like, right, great mile, best 5K, best 10K, potentially best marathon. And it's a different way of working. It also, I mean, for me, I turned 40 last year. And I think a lot of the narrative in your own mind, as well as kind of outdoors.
You're done.
You're slowing down. Do you know what I mean? It's like PBs are in the rearview mirror. And I looked at the data. It was very much in support of that theory. It was your marathon PB was in 2017. You haven't set a PB over any distance for probably 5 years.
Yeah.
Pretty bad performance at the Orion 15. And I was like, I need something just to sort of a bit of a jolt to attempt to go and to challenge my perspective of me as a slowing middle-aged runner.
Ah, right.
And I think the mile, which you can train well for a mile in 4 weeks if you're already fit, or 8 weeks if you're like me.
Yeah.
Can be this great reinvigorating process where you're and hopefully at the end you might start thinking about yourself as a runner in a different way, which I think is what actually happened to me.
I think a lot of people launch straight into marathons whenever they find running, and I can totally understand why. It's the first question. No one comes up to you and goes, "What's your fastest mile time?" They say,
"Oh, tell them."
You have to tell them. You love telling them. It's that thing of "Oh, you're a runner. Yeah. What have you done a marathon? What's your marathon PB?"
Thing,
right?
Yeah.
And I think that actually it'd be lovely if we could switch it around and be a bit more focused on the mile. And if someone's new to running or actually has never done it before, I can't say I've only raced the mile properly maybe twice.
Yeah.
I've been doing this a while. So I think that, as you say, it's something that perhaps we need to revisit it more but it really does allow people to just, focus on something a bit more challenging, a bit more doable, a bit more achievable.
Yeah.
And also it doesn't come with the risk of the marathon being injury prone or
exactly
ruins running for you.
And the other thing in mind is if you get it wrong, and spoiler alert, I did get it wrong first time, you can go again in a week or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
No training session that I did lasted longer than an hour other than one long run. Yeah. That was 8 miles.
Yeah,
so it's actually although it's quite intense, it's possibly easy to fit in to your life if you're really busy, to be how can I run really well over a mile? Yeah, I probably can have a go at that. Well, as opposed to am I ready to take on a marathon, do my very best at marathon? A lot of people probably aren't ready to do that kind of mileage.
No, not even a half marathon. That's still, your time and effort to get.
Totally.
That's why the shorter distance stuff is so appealing. Why do you think that the marathon? So the mile is 4 laps of the track plus 9 meters.
Yes.
How come? Why do you think that the mile is still so highly regarded, but yet 1500 it's still very highly regarded, but the two are always treated so differently?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I feel like it's almost a shame that the mile isn't an Olympic event anymore.
Yeah.
If you look at the history of it, obviously I think it's 70 years since Roger Bannister ran sub-4.
Yeah.
And then much less heralded was the fact that Diane Lever ran sub-5. I think about 2 weeks later, first woman to do that. And then we've had Kipyegon, haven't we?
Yeah.
Sort of attempting sub-4, which is an amazing thing to even attempt. Didn't quite do it, obviously, but like I think the mile has been sort of growing in profile, but yeah, I don't know why it's not. I feel like I'd like to be like, oh, it could be an Olympic event again.
Yeah,
but let's see.
I think it's the 1500 meters and there's a great roster of talent in the UK when it comes to 1500. So I feel like it's bring it back as a distance just so that we've got something else to cheer about. Like, why not? Like, get all these people running the mile again. But it is a very British distance, isn't it?
I think it is. I think we've got that kind of sense of history, and we've got some heroes, haven't we? Bannister, also. So it's kind of like conjures these images of kind of heroes of like years gone by. Right. In terms of if you want to run your best mile, right?
Is you going to tell me how to do it?
I've got an idea now. So
this is good.
So what I did was, like any smart runner, I looked at Runner's World.
Oh, bravo.
And Adaran Finn, the author of Running with Kenyans and author of various books, I think The Way of the Runner and The Rise of the Ultra Runners. That's it. No more.
No more?
No more advertising of his books.
All right, fine.
Great writer and really good runner. And I think back in 2014, he wrote a piece for Runner's World, and he said, I ran a sub-5 minute mile.
Yeah.
And I thought, all right, that's kind of like, how doable was that? He's a bit of a better runner than I am. He's run, I think he was running about 250 for marathon.
Right.
But I had a look at it and I was like, okay, I know I can run sub-6. So for me, sub-5 was like what the goal was. I think the good thing about a marathon, a mile, is that there are benchmark things that you can do early on to work out if your goal is realistic.
Yeah.
So very early on, it was one of the session, which is a bit like the Yasso 800s of the mile.
Right. Okay.
Yasso 800s obviously is like the marathon predictor, and it's 8 times 400 meters.
Yeah.
With a 2 minute just static recovery between those, and those 400 meters should be at your target mile pace.
Right. So your target mile pace in 5 minutes was 90 seconds for 400.
Oh, so 75 seconds.
Sorry, 75 seconds over 400. So you were doing 8 times 400
exactly
at 75 seconds. With a 2 minute rest.
Exactly,
and that was the start point.
That was the start. Yeah,
and if you'd done 6 reps and the last 2 were impossible, you'd be like, I'm not good. I'm not ready for this.
Exactly.
Right.
And if say you wanted to run a 6 minute mile, it would be like 90-second 400s.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to run a 7 minute mile, it would be 75.
Yeah. Okay.
But it doesn't really matter. I think it holds. It's like if you can do that session on pace, or even like a second faster, let's say per rep, then you're being realistic about what you want to achieve at the mile. If you can't do it, don't despair, but actually you probably want to be able to nail that session before continuing with a mile training plan.
Okay.
So I think and that's quite good actually, because it can kind of tell you something about like how realistic is it that what I'm trying to achieve.
Did you do this all at a track?
I did 1 week session at a track that was similar to that, and a lot of that stuff was like 400s. There was a few 1200 meter sessions. So the plan that I followed was essentially, it was endurance in the first few weeks. Endurance. This is like, it's 1200 meter reps.
Yeah.
Some 800 meter stuff. And then it got more intense as the race came on. So that was like more like 200 meter reps that were done at faster than mile pace.
Yeah.
So that was quite interesting. So I think you're kind of looking to attack the mile from like the slower stuff, slower than a mile, lots of mile pace.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of stuff as you get closer to race week would be like, so mine was like 200 meter reps in 35 seconds, which is actually like, that's for me is like relatively close to sprinting.
Yeah.
Or very close to sprinting.
Was sprinting.
Actually, was sprinting.
Completely was sprinting. So but did you do all of your training at a track? I'm just thinking of like anyone watching this or listening to this might be like, I can't get to a track.
No, I did 1 weekly session at a track.
And then the rest of it was?
The rest of it was like on the road, or like, I'd say how most mile training programs will be 3 easy runs a week.
Yeah.
And you can do them like on grass or on the road. I chose to do them on trail as much as possible, just from a kind of like joints perspective.
You're old now.
Yeah, I'm old.
Yeah,
exactly.
You mentioned it.
I was like,
Yeah.
And then I did 1 weekly track session.
Yeah.
And then there'd be like it might be something like 4 times 6 minutes. Alongside
okay,
that.
fine.
Yeah.
I mean, most people, if you're attempting it, you can gauge a 400 meter distance, or be it use your Garmin or a watch, and kind of like roughly guesstimate. A 400. If you can't get to a track, working out 400 meters isn't too difficult.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. I don't think you need a track. I think it probably helps to do the race on a track.
Yeah.
Again, you wouldn't need to do it, but I think it's completely flat. Obviously, it's traffic free.
Yeah.
There's maybe something about the track that kind of is it, kind of exciting.
Yeah.
I really want to show you the shoes that I wore for this attempt.
Okay.
If that's all right.
I don't want people to think this wasn't just down to you and your effort.
No,
I don't want you to like, because a lot's made of the shoes these days. I want everyone to be like, oh, he's giving all the big chat.
Right. So anyone who's listening to this rather than watching it, I'll have to explain. This is a very bright pink shoe that I'm bringing out. This is the Nike Dragonfly. Jeez. I mean, how would you describe it, Ben?
How would I describe this? It is a incredibly lightweight, pink and orange.
It's not subtle, is it? Yeah.
Running spike. A very how am I going to describe this? Perforated upper, like sort of a knitted upper with lots of space in it. The tongue's got a lot of, they've shaved every gram of weight off that they possibly can. The shape of it is incredible. It is a proper wave to it. Whereas all power is directed to the forefoot where there are 6 quite hefty spikes, and then the heel is a good, it looks like an inch up in the air compared to the forefoot. So it's a powerful beast, powerful looking beast.
For me, I was like, I need all the help I can get to run a Sub-5 minute. I knew I was never going to run like 450 or like even 455. I was like, I'm gonna scrape this if it happens at all.
Yes.
So I was like, super spike
for
me was worth it. Obviously, if people listening, they're like, I don't want to spend money on super spike. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
These are probably north of 150 quid, right?
Yep.
But if you've got a super shoe, I would say that.
So look, for comparison.
Yeah. Because I think actually,
for those listening along at home,
that's the beauty.
I've got a pair of Alpha Flies
super
here.
shoes. Is that they kind of, although the Alpha Fly that you're holding up, which is a huge Alpha Fly, like more like a kind of boat.
Well, look, that's just my feet. I'm afraid. But comparatively, yes. I mean, you've got a huge volume of stack height there in the super shoe. But most likely, people will have some sort of shoe or an equivalent to this at home if you're racing a lot.
Yeah.
And for 1,500 meters to and the mile on a track, you can absolutely wear your super shoe and feel the benefits, because the pace you're working at, your cadence, all of the things that make running the mile good for you is that your stride length and all the sorts of the factors that when you do strides in training, you're basically replicating like high turnover effort.
Yeah.
So your economy and your gait cycle and your running biomechanics are all should be pretty decent in a mile effort.
Yeah.
That means why you can probably get away with wearing a spike, because you're kind of used to it.
Yeah, I think probably as a midfoot or forefoot runner, moving to spikes, the transition's a little easier.
But as everyone's familiar with their super shoes, it's just basically doing, if you got your super shoes on and you've been doing marathon or half marathon or even 10K, 5K effort in your super shoes, you'll still get heaps of benefit from doing the mile in them.
Yeah.
And on the day of your pacing, Sam Wilkinson, your pacer, was wearing.
He was wearing, I think,
said super shoes. He was in the Adidas Pro Evo 2.
And no one has ever made a 5-minute mile look more easy than that git of a man. It was one part like motivating, one part I was like, maybe this isn't actually that hard.
Well, he is a sort of 15-minute 5K,
maybe I've
isn't he?
blown this up into my mind. It's actually just, if you're fit, it's like jogging round. Anyway, thanks to Sam, because it actually made a huge difference.
But anyway, he did it in a big old pair of bouncy super shoes.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting talking to you about it and getting an insight into what helped you physically and maybe psychologically as well, having the shoe that you've maxed out on possible technological advances to make yourself as good as possible. Similar with a super shoe. If you feel like on race day, if you're putting your super shoe on and it gives you that same boost that it does on like any other distance, then that's great. I think you should definitely be doing that.
Completely agree. That was part of it for me. I felt like this is as fast as I'm going to get in these shoes, and hopefully it's going to be good enough. One thing that I noticed, and I was actually quite good at doing this, was you need to warm up with the mile and these sessions much more than you would for like marathon training. So like what I do is I would jog 2 miles to the track, 2 or 3 miles. So like about 20 minutes of jogging.
Yeah.
And then it would be a kind of increasingly intense warm up of like strides, high knees, some plyometric stuff. I even did a bit of backwards running because I read it on Reddit, which is obviously where I get all my information. But that turns on the glutes more.
Not runaswell.co.uk.
No. I was like, let me just deep dive into Reddit. So basically, when you start your first rep, because these sessions, these masks, they're over in like 15 minutes.
Your heart's got to have been pumping, doing some work and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and like in terms of like just not being injured and all that stuff, I felt like hamstrings and calves are what probably is going to go with this kind of running. So you need to like give yourself the best possible chance, which is sensible warm up. And for me, like, I was pretty good with doing foam rolling.
Yeah.
And I did some isometric hamstring strengthening. So that was kind of like hold, like kind of glute bridges, hold stuff. Yeah. And that seemed to make a big difference as well. So yeah, I do think if you're going to survive a mile like training, you need to be really diligent on that stuff, the stuff that's kind of around the running. Because if you don't, then it's quite quickly becomes.
Well, yeah, you're probably generating a lot more force than your leg. Because you're sort of having to, there's a lot more power involved in the mile effort than there is in sort of normal, even against 5K or something like that. It's pretty much out and out, isn't it?
Completely, yeah. That's the one good thing that I found as well. Like, whereas it recalibrates like your idea of what intense running is.
Right. Yeah.
Does that make sense? So like, you're like, so if I was to run at 5K pace now, I'd be like,
it's all right.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it was a jog, obviously, but I'd be like, that's all right. Whereas like the mile pace is like, because it's a little bit, it's kind of one-off sprinting, really.
Yeah.
It actually makes you feel like, oh, I came to absolutely like love the easy. There's 3 easy runs a week in most plans. And that was just fantastic. I was like, oh, an easy 5 miles.
Yes, please.
I loved it. I was like, this is fantastic. I could do this all day. This is wonderful. Just, I'm not having to be on the track.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing that for me that was so helpful was I got a group of like-minded mates to do it as well. And I think if people are lucky enough who are reading this to be like, I'm a member of a club and there's 4 of us want to do it.
Yeah.
That's such an advantage. It's like, okay, you've got some mates who can kind of keep you honest. If there's a person in the group who's about the same as you, it makes everything. I mean, you've got the dog pack. You know what we're talking about.
Do I know? I mean, I haven't run with the dog pack for about a year and a half, but
the door's always open.
Yeah, it is always open.
Yeah, and it's like I think it's just inspiring, and it's also like there's a bit of accountability where you're like, on Saturday we are turning up to the track to do this.
Huge, that is, and that carries you a long way when it comes to this sort of stuff. I mean, everything we're talking about now, you have documented on the website as well, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And I wanted to talk specifically on the training plan because at Harrowhand's training plan was 4 weeks, correct?
That's right.
But you adjusted.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so his training plan, which was created by Trevor Painter, who's like coach to Keely Hodgkinson, among others. So got some creds, yeah. And it's 4 weeks, and I looked at it and I was like, this is a training plan that's made for a man who's already pretty fit.
Yeah,
I think he'd just done marathon work, and I looked at my own current status, and I was like, if I go and jump into a 4-week training plan that is 3 quality sessions a week, 3 easy runs, from what I was doing, which was probably 4 runs a week, one of which was sort of fast.
Yeah.
I was like, it's going to be too much. So I gave myself 2 weeks beforehand, which was like, I just did a version of what week 1 was. So like, if it was like, you're doing 8 times 400 meters, that session we mentioned, I was like, I'm going to do like 6 times 300 meters. And instead of the hill sprints that are like 8 times a minute, I'll do 6 times 30 seconds.
Right.
And I think if anyone's like going to be jumping into mile training and isn't used to it, that was actually a smart move to do it like that.
Yeah, 4 weeks from even, I think 8 weeks is
I think 8 weeks is more realistic. You can move the dial in 8 weeks. I think 4 weeks is like you're just tuning up what's already there, basically.
Yeah.
And for me, there wasn't a huge amount there, so I needed 8 weeks. And then
I need a full service.
After 6 weeks, you do a session at the end with a mile, which I think is maybe interesting to talk about. It's like it is 400 meters, then you get a minute break, 900 meters. 30-second break, 300 meters. So it's essentially it's a mile broken up.
Yeah.
And you do it all at your intended mile pace. And if you can do it, you can have like some confidence that you might run your mile.
Got it.
And me and Matt Weaver, who was the guy I was training with most, we kind of did it. And I was like, it's on.
It's on. Here we go.
So that was...
So you stopped training and gave up?
Yeah. So we had to go at Crystal Palace track, which is for me is like local track. And that's one thing about the miles, that the margin for error is tiny, mate. So like if you go out too fast, which is what most people do, then you're screwed. I think we were so worried about going out too fast, we went up too slow.
Too slow.
So like we went through halfway in something like 2:32, so sort of 2 or 3 seconds down on what you need to do.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're not making that time up. Like there's no way. I think like most distances, you probably need to do a very, very sort of marginal positive split.
Yeah.
So I think I ran 5:04 and he ran 5:02. And I was like, have to do it again.
Have to do it, yeah.
Yeah.
But didn't you find that was the crucial kind of like a very most important like learning point?
Yeah, yeah.
You've got to do like the thing. And as you said at the beginning, the great thing about this distance is that you can train for a set number of weeks, give it a go.
Yeah.
Get it, great. Or if you don't, give it a couple of weeks.
Exactly. Yeah.
Try it again.
Exactly. Yeah. That is the beauty of it, that you can get it wrong, and then it doesn't. There's no massive cost, no physical cost really to getting it wrong.
Yeah.
And then over those 2 weeks, I went back and sort of prioritized some speed endurance stuff, but I think it'd be kind of different depending on what people think their kind of strength is. But the best thing that happened was we did another little race that was called the Dulwich Relays or something, and it's like 1.04 miles.
Another fantastically famous distance.
So I was like, I'm not going to do it, because that was 0.4 is about 60 meters, it turns out. And I was like, I'm not running a 5-minute mile by 60 meters.
Yeah.
And I just felt a bit like that thing of what I said at the start of like my perception of myself as a runner was beginning to change. And I was like, I felt like I was as good as Matt was, who was a really good runner and someone I rated really highly. And I was as good as a lot of people around me doing this relay. And I started thinking, you know, I'm actually like, I'm still young enough or fast enough to do this.
You're holding your own.
Yeah. So I think I gained not just fitness, but I gained a lot of confidence in those 2 weeks. So when we tried again, I would have been really disappointed not to do it at that point. Yeah. So that was for me. It was almost like it was already a success at that point, because I was looking at myself not as like a slowing, aging journalist, but I was like, I'm like an improving miler. That's who I am.
That's big.
It matters, mate. I think with these things, and it's true with marathon, any distances, like how you view yourself as a runner and what you expect is often what you get.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
Completely. We were actually on a run the other day, and we were talking about when you ran sub-3.
Yeah.
And you were conscious of not doing what you did that time, which was getting to the point of running sub-3 in your head, telling yourself that, wow, I've done this and I think I can go faster, and then never capitalizing on it.
Yeah.
And now for the mile, you're definitely gonna.
Oh right, yeah. So like, I see what you mean. Yeah. I think you're
going to capitalize on this current period.
I think so. I think what the missing time for me at the minute, I think I've never run a good 5K time. So I'd like to think that I could take some of this momentum and just, I probably need to train again for like 4 weeks, but to try and do that. And then who knows? But I mean, for me, like I've got, like yourself, I've got 2 young kids. Realistically, am I going to piece together a great marathon training? I'm probably not. And that's fine. I also suspect, mate, and you might be in this category as well, and I think lots of runners are, like, I'm actually better at middle distance. Like, I'm actually a better middle distance runner than I am a marathoner.
I do enjoy marathons a lot, but I'm not. It's not necessarily it's never been my go-to distance.
It's quite a specific thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that, again, back to my point, I think that it's such a hard distance, and it's so widely revered as like this absolute benchmark of running, that it's kind of almost too hard to say that you don't like it, because everyone goes, what's your marathon PB? And you have to be like, not really a huge fan of it, sort of thing. But I love half marathons. And I like 5Ks and 10Ks and anything like that. And I think that a lot of the setting has to do with it. I'm not a massive fan of just running endlessly on the road.
Okay.
I will happily run further if it's like somewhere pretty. And like off-road and that sort of stuff. But I think that you're, as the years creep on, I'm more and more just like, give me something that I can focus on that doesn't take up too much of my time, has quite immediate gratification. I don't want to have to wait months and months and months for one attempt for something to then probably go wrong. I quite like to have some very obvious and satisfying benchmarks along the way.
Totally.
And then gratification.
I'm completely.
And I think that's like the mile.
The mile ticks 5K. It ticks that box. I honestly think that is probably my proudest running achievement.
I love that.
Running sub-5. I love that. And I haven't got like a storied running CV, but there's some decent stuff in there where I feel like, but the mile is absolutely like right at the top of that. And I love the process of doing it. I loved like how intense some of the training was, the variation in speed, how it slightly changed my own like perception of who I was as a runner. And nothing took that long, mate. Like all these things were over. I did most of them in the morning, so I'd get up at like 6:15 or whatever, and I'd be back home kids wake up about 7:10. I'll be back. I've done it.
You've done it.
Yeah.
Done your bit for the day.
It was nice weather. I feel like this time of year is great for doing it.
Yeah.
But just back to like the kind of middle distance versus a marathon, like to get the most out of yourself for a marathon, it is quite hard, isn't it? Like even if you're like, say like,
no, never done it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I have, like, because relatively, like you'd have to run, like say to run a 5-minute mile, right? Which is probably the equivalent of, if you went from one of those calculators, they probably tell you it's like a 2:50 marathon or something. Like I did that on running less than 30 miles a week, and lots of people could do the same, right?
Yeah.
So you can do a pretty good version of what training looks like for that distance. If I was to try and run like a 2:50 marathon, I'd probably have to run, double that in mileage a week, which would be really tricky actually, even working for run as well. But I just don't, running 60 miles a week is something, I've never done that consistently or kind of ever.
Yeah.
It would take over life a lot. It'd be tricky to work around the family. Like there's a lot to be said for these short distances where you can achieve something quite good actually, but without having to like completely give up all your spare time to it.
And I think it kind of taps slightly more into when you're talking about your perception of yourself as a runner.
Yeah.
I think if you try and do things that are stretching yourself from a like physical point of view, but also from your time and energy and a stress point of view, you're actually diminishing your own view of yourself as a runner, because you're not doing what you like. You're not being able to do the thing that you want to do properly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think that you obviously, if you've got the time and you've got the money and you've got the capabilities to sort of just do it, then you will feel great about running distances and all of that sort of stuff. But there is a lot to be said of just.
Well, if you feel like you're overstretching yourself.
Yeah, and if you overstretch yourself and you're not fitting it in, your relationship with running changes quite dramatically.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
if it's a burden, if it's like something that's like pulling you away from family life because you've now said you're going to go and do this thing.
Yeah.
And the way you're talking about it being your greatest achievement, and the kids were there watching and they jumped on you at the end, and it was all nice and all that sort of stuff. I kind of think it's definitely worth considering if you've ever felt running to be at odds with everything else in your life.
Yeah.
If you've sort of put yourself in a position where the distance or the training is too much and you're sort of constantly battling that juggle.
Yeah.
I think that actually it's hard to run a fast mile. I think that's the most important thing. Like people might be, it's not going to be as difficult as running a marathon, but in many ways it kind of is. Like
the intensity is quite.
It's gratifying. Like you get that, you'll get the same sort of kick from it that you would because you've got the whole thing. And it just realigns that you've got the time and you've got the energy, and it's not gonna ruin everything else going on. And I know you didn't have a couple of beers for a few weeks or something like that. But
yeah.
But but some, and I've done it. I've trained for marathons and races where I've been absolutely like teetotal. No, like for a long. I didn't drink coffee, alcohol, anything. I wanted to be like as pure as possible.
Yeah.
And that was great, like at the time. But now do you know what I mean? I feel like it's just nice to have. Tick the sort of box that ignites running for you.
Yeah.
And makes it feel good, but don't like overreach. And I feel like the mile is a really good.
Yeah, I think that's really well put, mate. I think that's I could do it in harmony with my life rather than like taking on, say, an ultra and be like, how on earth am I going to fit?
Yeah. See you later. See you later, guys.
I'm not going to fit it in. No, I'm failing. Just in terms of like racing the mile.
Yeah.
So I think perceived wisdom from my is even pacing is what you want to do.
Yes.
Say you want to run a 6-minute mile, and so you want to go off at like, you probably want though to put a couple of seconds, I think, in the bag until halfway. So like 6-minute mile, you want to go through in like, say like 88 seconds and then maybe 89 seconds. So you've got 3 seconds in the bag. And then the third lap.
I love how sort of like
third lap,
small margins.
Honestly, the third lap's horrendous, and you have to just try not to slow down.
Yeah.
And that's much easier said than done. But you have to really dig in there. And then the final lap it's really bad. But then when you get to 200 meters out, something does happen. You're just like,
it's amazing.
Yeah,
you discover this extra part of you that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
The last mile race I did properly was actually incredible. It was at the Olympic Stadium in London.
Yeah.
And it was just before a Diamond League meet.
Oh yeah, see, you're talking about this. Yeah.
And it was part of a Nike thing. So it was very like privileged to be there, and like all the people who joined in were very, lucky.
Weren't you in
to
like
be
a
there.
massive shoe?
Yeah, we were actually. It's the only one downside of it is that when like a brand tells you that they're doing something, and then you have to wear. At the time, I think it was like an earlier version of the Vomero, maybe.
It's like a big easy run shoe.
Big, quite sort of actually quite blocky shoe. Ran 5:35 in that monster.
That's decent though.
Yeah,
that's decent.
But it does really recalibrate about what you think you can do, the capabilities.
Yeah.
That threshold work is very different to endurance work from that point of view. And I think that's what the mile is good at. It's like actually my peak effort is very different to like holding on as long as I possibly can.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
It's like, oh, actually, no, I'm at the ceiling, and actually, no, there's a tiny.
There's a whole universe of suffering that you can unlock.
In
these short distances.
But I think that does unlock a little bit of power when you do push to that limit and you get to those final 200, 300 meters, and that third lap, you feel like your world is going to implode.
Yeah.
But suddenly there's a sort of like, I'm nearly there. And that nearly there feeling, you're sort of, it immediately ebbs away all of the like horrible.
Totally. Yeah.
And then you've just got this kind of like final flow. I even managed to sort of like try and do a little sprint. I remember like, and thinking like, my legs are going faster than I've ever imagined. Do you know?
It's
like,
in there.
Yeah, it's it. And I think that's a very different sensation and a different feeling to other bits of running.
Yeah. Agreed. I'm hoping that we've answered the question on how to run your best mile, but if people think we haven't, then there is, we're going to put in the show notes, there's an article and it's got an 8-week training plan the exact training plan that I followed.
Yeah.
The only thing we haven't talked about, I guess, is strength training.
Yeah, which is something that the mile is very power.
Yeah, exactly.
Power specific. So yeah, definitely. And you found with your work, you flared up a bit of a hammy thing, didn't you?
Flared up a bit of a hammy thing. So I was doing like, we've talked to Rich Blagrove on here before, and so I was doing sort of two times a week. I was doing the classic, like mostly lower body strength training things at a gym. So like relatively heavy, like squats, deadlifts, lunges, calf raises, and I think I do a chin up and a bench press. So all done in about 35 minutes. No one's that impressed in the gym, but I do it twice a week. And I was finding that's great. And if you can do that along with mile training, that is 100% the golden ticket. Like, and it'll make you quicker and a bit more resilient. For me, it was just, that was probably one thing too many in the week. So, I was like, I can only do one of these.
Yeah.
I chatted to Tom Gooman, we've had on here a lot, and he's like, this thing in itself is pretty intense, this plan in itself. If you add in strength training or twice weekly strength training, that's another load thing.
Yeah.
So you'd be better off taking one of those out and doing some like isometric-y stuff or resistance band stuff. It's much less intense. So I think if people are just going to go and hop into like the 4-week training plan, which is also on the article, you could maybe allow yourself some time away from the gym to do it, which seems a bit counterintuitive, but I think there's only so much you can actually, there's only so much kind of intensity that I think your body can handle.
And that's the thing with the intensity. You'd be doing all the strength work now, and if you're aiming towards an endurance-based event or a distance, then obviously that's the perfect balance.
Yeah.
Lift some strong stuff. You're not going to get your muscles are going to get loads of like low weight, high repetition running things. Whereas actually the mile stuff, it's on a similar plane to the strength.
Yeah, it's quite intense in itself. Yeah, doing hill sprints and all the rest of it. So I think just being flexible with like being understanding what your body can tolerate is probably.
Did you feel stronger?
I felt stronger. Yeah, I did actually.
Did your legs feel more like? Did you feel more connected? More like all the things that you assume happen when you sprinters. You look at a sprinter or any sort of like, obviously they've got big old powerful units. You kind of extrapolate backwards and you kind of go, well, look, if I'm running faster but shorter, I'm going to feel a bit more robust.
I felt more bouncy.
Okay.
I felt like I had that. So, and like when I was sprinting, it felt like I was like, oh, this feels good. Like bounding around. I felt like I'd got that.
You sort of ignited a bit of fascia or something?
Something. I think, probably like sort of awakening some stuff that's kind of there for most of us. But I feel like if I had to go, if I had a sort of to do a jump or something, I feel like I would have been probably more like, had more of a, maybe
elasticity.
More elasticity. Yeah, that's the word. Okay. Yeah. So I think like that was that. And that's like that's another great kind of empowering feeling when you get that.
Oh yeah, especially as you age. Like elasticity is one of the things that goes quite quickly.
Yeah.
What else did you discover then with the mile stuff? I kind of like we've talked about your training, and there's some examples of the sessions that people can try, and there's all these other bits and pieces. What was it that, is there anything else that people need to fundamentally understand when it comes to this distance?
That's a good question. I think to be ambitious about what you try and do with a mile.
Oh, I like that.
I think for me that was such a motivating thing. Was 5 minutes was like a really honest, ambitious target that meant I got really serious about the training plan. If I'd said, 5:30 or something.
Yeah, you could do it.
You could do it. Whereas actually this one, I was like, I don't know if I can do this, But then you start, if you can, with the sessions, if you're like, well, I can do the sessions.
Yeah.
So maybe I can do it. So I think, getting the balance right between like something that's just about realistic, but that's really ambitious is the way to play it, because the consequences for getting it wrong are so small.
Yeah.
You can try again, or if you're miles off, you can have a slight rethink about what you've gone for.
I mean, and the plan as well, if you get it slightly wrong, all you do is just change all the times.
Exactly, yeah.
Do 3 more weeks.
Yeah.
Aim for, like, if you're trying to do sub-5 and you do 5:15 each time, then just sort of train a little bit less.
Yeah.
Build it up again and then try and go again.
Yeah, exactly. Also, you don't have to, despite what you see on YouTube or Instagram, you can actually wear a shirt and run a 5-minute mile.
No, it's impossible.
Yeah, I'm the first person who did it.
What? You had clothes on when you did this?
Yeah. As a man, you can actually be wearing a vest to do it. So I'd encourage our listeners.
Taking your top off.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows? And I guess the other thing that is worth pointing out is that although it is a speed event to a certain extent, it is actually ultimately from a sort of like energy systems perspective, it's still largely aerobic. So there's still quite a lot of easy running in the good mile. I think elite milers are running like 60, 70, maybe more miles a week. Whereas I think for 5-minute mile, you really have to be running you'd probably have to be running at least 30 miles a week.
Okay.
So that's something to bear in mind. You can't just it's not just sprinting. You couldn't just replace easy running with it's track 6 days a week and lifting. It's like, no, it's actually like when you watch it back as a video, you're like, it does look a little bit like middle-aged man like jogging around a track. Do you know what I mean? It's not 100 meters.
It's the worst thing about any sort of the middle distance when you see it and you're not an elite and you watch how fast you run them. Like,
I agree.
It just looks so pedestrian.
I know.
It's just,
Oh, I know. Yeah. I've made the mistake of watching the Diamond League before the first attempt to this, and where everyone would comfortably run under 4 minutes, and I was like, can you imagine what I would look like on that track?
Yeah, well, I can imagine what I did look like just as the stadium was slowly filling with people expecting elite performances, and they just sort of see these random people sort of absolutely sort of,
what are they wearing on their feet? Why are they wearing a huge...
all bluster, just screaming at each other just as they run around this track. So yes, but that's all part of it.
It's all part of it. Would you? You've done the mile already, but would you?
I have.
Would you have
absolutely revisit it. Yeah. I think talking to you about it, it makes me want to revisit those feelings straight away, because it's like we're talking to any runner about any distance. Like you say to someone, "Oh, I did this race," and you get chatting about it, and you immediately go, "Oh, I remember that. Yeah, that was good. I like those feelings," and it does unlock a lot of. It answers a lot of questions about yourself. I think it's one of those ones where if you're training for none of us are really going to get into sprinting, right?
I think, not many listeners are about to do the 100 meters.
No. So it's the closest we kind of like anyone who's a sort of amateurish running. It's the sort of, those are the sort of distances you get to being at your absolute limit.
Yeah.
For like a very short period of time. Or reasonably short period of time. 5 minutes is still quite a long time. Yeah. But it does make me want to do that and to just sort of feel everything working hard. Yeah. Like that. I want to have that, like, and you do feel like you're running your best. Yeah. There's that feeling that you feel like biomechanically you're absolutely firing. Yeah. You're not sort of worrying about X, Y, and Z. It's a lot of the internal dialogue that you get with endurance stuff. Yeah. Oh, monitor this. Yeah. Time for a gel. Yeah. Oh, I wonder if I better check my watch. None of that. Yeah. It's just go.
Mate, that is 100% true. Yeah. You're like, there's no time for. I mean, you get very nervous, I think, before these big efforts, but like when you're actually doing it, so it's very like focused and like. I mean, that's one thing I would say is that on whenever you decide to do your best mile, the morning of that event will be horrendous. I felt such dread.
I love that.
Such dread, man. I was like, what?
You're more nervous than you felt about anything for a long time?
Yeah. I think the last time I felt nervous was before my best marathon effort. Yeah. And I've, felt like kind of sick with and with dread. And I started getting, oh my God, this is going to be. I think the biggest fear for me is always like, will I actually be courageous enough when it gets hard? Right. So I was like, what should I do? I should listen to some music. So I was just like jogging around Crystal Palace Park in the morning. I was like, I need to put Prince on. I need something just really joyful.
I need Prince.
I need to put like Raspberry Beret on or something.
Which is his best song.
So I was there just sort of looking quite worried with Prince. So if anyone was in Crystal Palace Park at that point, I apologise. Probably was a scary sight. But and I remember even like the 30 seconds beforehand, I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Like, oh God, this is, sort of feeling like weak and stuff. And then
was that because you were running with people and you were running with Matt and you had Sam there, and was that when those 30 seconds of not wanting to do it? Was it having people with you that made a difference?
I think you can. I think I can.
Would you? I mean, I knowing you, I absolutely don't believe you would have not done it.
I would have done it. As in, I would have tried to do it. I think having people around you is just helpful from a kind of a slight blasé perspective, right? Or being like, or maybe a slight front perspective of like, come on, we're all going to do it.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it was quite unpleasant that morning. I think just in terms of like just the nerves.
I like that though.
But then nerves are good, right?
Yeah.
Nerves means
you care.
You're about to try. I feel like you can reframe nerves as like, this means I'm about to try.
I think it's good. I don't really remember. I think it's because with the mile distance as well, you're going to suffer quite a lot.
Yeah. There's no two ways about it. Yeah.
The nerves come from that point of view as well. You're going to actually make yourself do something quite horrible.
Yeah.
And you don't really get a lot of that with. I mean, it depends how hard you try. Maybe I'm not trying hard enough, but like I get nervous before most races, but I wouldn't say it doesn't compare.
Yeah, I think longer races, it's going to be hard, but it shouldn't be hard for quite a while unless you've gone absolutely nuts.
It's really badly. Yeah,
it's the kind of the immediate onset of pain. Yeah. So, but then that made it. I think me and a mate, we like to. There's a kind of a long distance swimmer called Lewis Pugh.
Yeah,
South African guy, and he's like swam in the Antarctic and stuff. And his favorite quote is, "Courage is a muscle." Courage is a muscle.
Courage is a muscle.
He says it in the South African.
Courage is a muscle.
Courage is a muscle. Yeah. Which is a bit of a wanky quote, isn't it? But I think there's something true about you if you repeatedly do things that are quite hard or involve some element of bravery.
Yeah.
It does get a bit easier. Maybe, hopefully, you can bring that to your other running, or even more to your own life in general.
Well, like you were saying, now your perception of pace has changed so much.
Yeah.
That you would, if someone said to you now, go and do a 5K race.
Yeah.
You with a bit of training or with not, your idea of suffering and perhaps your then sense of nerves would be very different.
Yeah, I think that's right. I feel like I would be much more aggressive with it than I would have dared to be previously.
Yeah.
Which is a confidence thing to a certain extent, but I think running a mile you have to be pretty aggressive. Actually, you can bring some of that like controlled aggression to like 5K and 10K. Whereas before, without having done the mile stuff, I probably would have thought 5K pace. That's about as aggressive as I get.
Gosh,
check me out. My controlled aggression at parkrun. There's no place for controlled aggression.
No. All out.
So there. On that lovely note.
Nice note. Well, look. Hopefully everyone listening and maybe watching has got something to take away from it.
I hope so.
But I definitely think everyone should book in a bit of time over the summer.
Agreed.
To just try and get the mile dialed in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's is it the Westminster Mile, which I think is late September. So some good events you can take part on.
Yes. Yeah. There are some good mile events. Maybe we should get a list up on the site and people can have a look at that too.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, and the article's on the website. Put in the show notes as well.
Put in the show notes. So anyone wants to really dive into the data behind Rick's effort.
Yeah.
There's a little video about the run as well on the Instagram page, so check that out.
Oh, that's one you created, yeah.
I did.
Very good at it. Very good.
Thanks very much. Yeah. So there's all sorts of mile stuff that people
resources out there.
that people get engaged with. So there we go.
Lovely. Well, that brings us to the end of this week's Runners World podcast. A huge thanks to our special guest, me and Ben, and to you, of course, for listening or watching. And over to you, Ben.
Yeah, and if you're not a member of the Runners World Club, which you should be, but if you're not, you can subscribe by searching on the internet for Runners World Club, or just listening and watching this wonderful little message from Jen Bazon, our membership director. If you haven't heard already, Runners World has got a club.
That's right, 30 years in the making, the Runners World Club is here to take your running even further.
And as our dedicated viewers, listeners and fans, let's say fans, we wanted to tell you more about it. So we've got a guest here to talk about it.
That's right, we're here with our friend and colleague Jen Bazon, Membership Director, to learn more. So Jen, tell us, what exactly is the Runners World Club?
So Runners World Club is our best ever brand experience and gives readers access to a multitude of benefits, experiences and rewards, in addition to receiving the print magazine every month. And a membership to Runners World Club really does give you everything you could possibly need to get fitter, faster and healthier.
You could do with a bit of that.
Me? Yeah. Does sound good, actually, yeah.
Yeah. What do people get, Jen? What is included in a membership?
So we've got 3 different tiers of membership: bronze, silver and gold. And our gold membership is our sort of top tier, all singing, all dancing membership. And with that, you get access to our brand new training plan library via our reimagined companion app. You get access to award-winning training platform Final Surge, which gives you the ability to sync Runners World plans with your training devices. So with your Garmin, Apple Watch, Sunto, Polo, whatever your kind of preference. And that means that you can follow training sessions in real time on your watch with guided prompts. So it saves you having to sort of memorise interval sessions and things like that, as it's all programmed into your watch. You also receive our monthly print magazine, our weekly Runners World Club newsletter, and you get full access to the reimagined companion app, where you can access discounts and deals from running and fitness brands, and you also get access to exclusive gold member only content. So it's jam-packed with benefits.
And there are these live events, aren't there? Spencer Matthews was seen on last weekend with Runners World, and Susie Chan. So tell us about those.
Yes, very exciting. So what we wanted to do with membership was give our members the chance to meet and get to know each other, as well as the Runners World team and celebrity guests as well. So yeah, we hosted our first event the day before the London Marathon with Spencer Matthews, Susie Chan at the Samsung store in King's Cross, and it was a lot of fun. We had 85 runners there, and we did a shakeout run and Q&A, and it was very exciting, and the feedback was brilliant. So we're already excitedly planning our next one.
Excellent.
Let's get into the guts of this. Training plans.
Yes.
It's going to be the main draw. Lots of people have probably used the Runners World training plan across their many years of running. What are the training plans looking like?
Yeah, so our training plans have been written by Tom Craggs, Robbie Britton and Georgia Wood, and we've produced this brand new library which you can get via the app, and they span from 5k to ultramarathon. And what's really brilliant is runners now have the ability to customise those plans according to their training preferences. So if you want to, say you've got a marathon coming up in 20 weeks' time and you're targeting 3 hours, 45 minutes, and you want to do 3 to 4 runs per week, you just put that into the filter and you'll be served a tailored plan. And in addition to that, every 4 weeks in those plans, there's the opportunity to kind of reflect on how your training's going and choose an alternative plan if it's not quite working out. So say that kind of 3:45 time goal was a little bit punchy, you can sort of change to 4 hours. So that self-reflection kind of ensures you sort of are following the plan that is actually right for you.
Right, I want in. How do I join?
So you can join by clicking the link in the episode description or searching Runners World Club and signing up via the Hearst Magazine's website. And it's priced at $9.99 for your first 3 months, which is an absolute bargain.
A steal.
That is an absolute deal.